Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Women in India will soon be able to opt to abort up to 6 months of their pregnancy, which is 24 weeks, as opposed to the existing 5 months. The Modi government, in fact, the cabinet, has just approved a bill to that effect. Let's find out what is going to change. To run us through this issue, I have Himani Chandna, who, as you know, covers health for ThePrint. Himani, big decision. Important decision, something that has been in demand for a while now, and finally the government seems to have come around to doing it. Very quickly, what is this new bill? What does it say about abortion?
The headline for the day is that the abortion limit has been extended from 20 weeks earlier to now 24 weeks, which means
5 months to 6 months.
Yeah, which means earlier women were allowed to terminate their pregnancies till the 5th month.
Right.
Now 1 month more has been added. Now women will be able to terminate pregnancy till the 6th month of their pregnancy.
Right, legally speaking.
Legally.
So, Himani, how did this start about? Let's just first talk a little bit about the background before we come back to the bill. When was this demand mooted?
Definitely.
What has been the trigger?
Ruhi, the consultations in the government started in 2014. The draft for which the amendment now has been cleared by cabinet was made in 2014, and there were a lot of reports. Even a report by Lancet said that out of the total 15.6 million abortions which were carried out in India in 2015, 11.5 million took outside health facilities. So the trigger came from the fact that most of these abortions were happening in the fake clinics or through the quacks or unethical ways, which even led to the increase in the maternal mortality rate, which led to the death of women who were going to these clinics. And of course, the government cites 8% of all the maternal mortality deaths were due to the unsafe abortions. So this was the trigger that led government to amend this bill.
Now, this has also had a legal history. I mean, I know neither of us here is really a Supreme Court or legal expert, but just, because you've covered health for so long, what sort of course has this followed legally? The Supreme Court has often intervened in the matter.
Yeah. So, in fact, I think I was talking to a legal correspondent only. He told me that there were cases where Supreme Court has allowed the termination of pregnancies which are over 20 weeks. He even told me, Debayan also told me that in 2017, Supreme Court had permitted a 22-year-old girl who was in the 24th week of her pregnancy to undergo termination because the fetus was without skull. So in case of deformation of fetus also, the termination of pregnancies were not allowed, and there were a lot of petitions which were filling, petitioners were going to the doors of these courts.
Right. Now, Himani, coming back to this bill, what are the various other salient features of the bill? What are the provisions of the bill besides, of course, the fact that the gestation period for abortion has increased?
Yeah, so Ruhi, the gestation period has increased, but the final decision will be of 2 doctors. One has to be a government doctor out of the 2, and the bill will detail the list of women it includes and the cases it will include. For instance, the bill also focuses on women who were the rape victims, or women who are ill, who will be unable to bear the child for long, or who will have ill effects of pregnancy on their future health. So it will basically describe all the features, and it says, I will read from the government press release, which says that the bill has enhanced the gestation limit from 20 to 24 weeks for special categories of women, which will be defined in the amendments to the MTP rules. And it would include vulnerable women, including survivors of rape, victims of incest, and other vulnerable women like disabled women and minors.
So to understand, now I'm just a little bit confused. This is not a blanket sort of rule of increasing from 20 to 24 weeks. It's only for certain conditions like this?
It is for certain conditions, and of course also backed by the doctor's opinion. If doctor thinks that the pregnancy is not good, it should be terminated, then also it is supported by the medical board.
But if a woman who is not in any of these categories, if she is not a sexual assault survivor, or if she is not disabled, and she wants to terminate her pregnancy.
This has not been clarified in the bill. This has categorically mentioned that the definition of women will be included in the bill itself.
Right.
It nowhere says that if you plan to abort, because majorly in the 6th month, I don't think that there will be any abortion which will be without any reason, because it's too late to abort then. But of course, the bill will mention all the categories or the
that
cases
would be
where
allowed.
Yeah.
Right. So that we are yet to get complete clarity.
Complete clarity.
Now, Himani, let's talk a little bit about what has been happening so far. As you pointed out, and as the government has pointed out, 8% of maternal mortality deaths at the time of this are because of abortions, unsafe abortions. So what has been, what is this unsafe abortion? What has the system been? Have we really pushed it underground by saying that no, after 20 weeks you can't get yourself aborted?
Of course, because this was illegal. So anything that is illegal, of course, goes to the grey market. And there was the grey market existed. And because women were not allowed to go it through the proper, safe, medical, legal channel, they were of course going to the clinics which claim to, provide the safe abortions. But because this was a business for them, there were no protocols being followed, unhealthy medical practices were followed, no, qualified doctors were there. So these were the things that, led government to take the cognizance.
So now that possibly this will increase, we'll get greater clarity, but given what the government has said now, does it mean that it would also sort of maybe reduce this grey market, reduce the market for these quacks? And
Definitely.
So
the only point that government has not mentioned in the press statement, and probably in the bill we might get to know, there is no mention of a single woman. There is no mention of a married woman as well. So there is no category they have defined that even single women can go for the abortion or not. Because it was widely speculated that bill will talk about single women also.
Because
and
the existing says married women.
Married women.
Right.
So this press statement or the minister hasn't briefed anything on single or married status as of now. We will get the clarity. But otherwise, yes, to your question, grey market will definitely be finished after this.
Right. Now, Himani, is India among the only countries which is now going to allow abortion up to 24 weeks? What are the international practices?
See, this is what the minister has said while briefing. He said that India will now join the set of very few countries which allow termination of pregnancy till the 24th week. So these countries are, my report is from 2017, which says that only 7 countries allow elective abortions after 20 weeks, and this include Canada, China, Netherlands, North Korea, Singapore, United States and Vietnam.
Right.
So with this, India also joins that club.
Right. Himani, I'm sure there are other safeguards as well in the bill in terms of, how an abortion can be carried out to ensure it's safe, to ensure it's properly supervised, and also how to protect the privacy of the woman going through the abortion.
Yeah, the press statement, of course, clarifies that the confidentiality of the procedure will be completely maintained. It clearly says that name and other particulars of a woman whose pregnancy has been terminated shall not be revealed. So the confidentiality and privacy has been granted, will be granted. And of course, there is another point, Ruhi, which I would like to mention, which is that in case of a pregnancy which is up to 20 weeks, the requirement is of just one healthcare provider.
Okay.
They have not mentioned whether government or private, but I assume that it has to be a government healthcare provider. And in case of a pregnancy that is between 20 to 24 weeks of gestation, the requirement for consultation is of 2 doctors, out of which one is government. That is written in the press statement itself.
Right. So would you say it's a big step or an important step in the direction of giving women greater reproductive rights?
Definitely.
Greater rights of deciding when and how they want to be pregnant?
Definitely. It is definitely, and the minister himself said that this is their reproductive right that every woman should enjoy, and especially in the cases when there are deformities in the fetus. And even for the rape survivors of the victims of sexual assault, this will be a great move, because the minister has specifically highlighted the mental harassment due to the problems in termination of pregnancy. So I think this is a big step.
Right. Well, Himani, explaining this new move by the Modi government to to allow women to abort up to 6 months instead of the existing 5 months. We will know details soon enough. That's what she's saying. But in whatever sense, this is an important move. This is a move that was much needed, given how the fact that it was limited, the abortion period was limited, had pushed this to an entire grey market, and how that was actually extremely unsafe for women who wanted to opt for late abortions. Thank you so much for watching Government Matters. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel.